Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Oi Let's Talk podcast. We are super excited again today to bring you another guest, one of our good friends, Anthea, but I'm going to let her introduce herself.
100%. Yeah. She's going to do a better job than we will.
Take it away, Queen.
Yes, my name is Anthea. I'm really excited to be here with you guys. Okay, so I own Thrive Stronger Coaching. I've been in business for 5 years and coaching for 5 years. I have a new role of a gym owner as well in the last 7 months, which is wild. And yeah.
So exciting.
The gym looks amazing as well, by the way.
Thank you.
We have been there. We've tried and tested it. Everyone that's listening,
Everyone get around it.
a fucking vibe.
Yeah.
Huge vibe.
Beautiful, great equipment, good people.
Yes.
Get around it, everybody.
Very big community. I feel like you and your partner who you open the gym with, you guys are all about community, which I think is really cool.
I think it was good because we had our existing communities to start with, like Thrive and Husla. We obviously have our in-person coaching, so a lot of the girls get to meet. Again, with Husla, they have the same thing. So when it was time to open up the space, it was sort of like, a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The vibe's already high.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that. I was going to ask, what actually got you into coaching in the first place? I've kind of seen you touch on your journey starting with bodybuilding.
Yes.
And I wanted to go on to that, but then how that's evolved over time.
Yeah. So I joined the gym when I was maybe 16. I ended up competing in a bodybuilding comp in high school at 17,
Yeah.
which was so wild.
I thought I had that wrong. You go.
Can I say that seems really young?
Yes.
Like to
So
compete in
young.
bodybuilding?
Yeah. I don't know. It all just happened so fast. I just got really, really into it. And I think I just had a couple of coaches and people they were coaches. They were like, you'd be really good if you compete. And I think there was this sort of interest in being a junior and being young doing it. I don't know, just, and I was like, all right, well, the time is now. Let's just do it. I was already sort of training really consistently and doing all the dieting and stuff. And it was sort of just it seemed like the next step.
Yeah.
I don't really believe that it was now in hindsight, but I think it was still a really good experience. And obviously, where I am today because of it. So yes, going back to coaching, that was during high school. I finished high school. I got into exercise and sports science. I was like, look, it's going to take me 3 or 4 years to be able to actually start working in the industry. So I deferred. I did my certs because I was like, I want to work in the industry ASAP. I had a lot of other, fellow people being like, what are you doing that for? You're just going to become what? Just a PT? And I was like, no, I've got my plan.
That one before, haven't we?
Yeah. I want to work in the industry ASAP. I don't want to have to wait. So I did that. I took that route. And then obviously, started coaching in 2018. And I was just, I think I kind of just knew that was what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to help people. So, yeah.
Awesome. I think as well, the comments that you said, you had people saying kind of what are you doing? What do you think has changed you doing your Cert 3 and 4 to you being 5 years into the industry and kind of having a thriving business? What do you think some of the things are that helped catapult that happening? Obviously, you've got passion, but I'm thinking along the lines of you would have done a lot of upskilling and mentoring. What's made the biggest impact for the longevity of your business so far?
Yeah, I think just constantly wanting to learn. I'm so curious, and I think when I first got my certs, I think everyone's like this. They're like, oh my God, I know so much. But then when you start working, you're like, actually,
I know nothing.
Yeah, I literally know nothing. And there's still so much more that I want to learn. Surrounding yourself with other really great coaches as well, investing in a coach as well. I've had a coach pretty much ever since I started with the gym. So I think I answered the question.
Personal development.
Yeah.
I think people are afraid to do that as well because they just don't really know what that world's like. But I really think that having people around you who are walking the steps that you want to walk in makes sense.
100%. Yeah. I also just feel like it comes from passion for me. It just feels really aligned with everything that I care about. So I feel like it's come quite naturally. I don't feel like I don't know, there's definitely like a part of imposter syndrome in me, almost having like this disassociation between what I've achieved in business and where I am. I don't know if you guys feel that too. But yeah.
I think I also get trapped in the whole like, what's next? Or I need to be doing more. And it's a double-edged sword. It's good to be striving. But we all love what we're doing. But I have this never-ending feeling that I'm not doing enough. 100%. And I need to check in on that and be like, actually, like, be proud of what you've achieved so far.
It's like the stop and smell the roses. Even circling back to how before you had people make comments to you being like, oh, you're just going to be a PT. It's like, I feel like that adds to the imposter syndrome later down the track because when you do reach a level of quote unquote success in your business, you're always going to play back to those times where someone turned around being like, oh, you want to be a PT? Like, really? That's all you want to like do with your life?
Exactly.
And then you kind of fall back into, oh, was this like a fluke? Or am I actually that successful? Or do people look at me like I'm successful? Whatever kind of story plays out. Really interesting.
100%. It's like the perceived, like, how am I being viewed? Am I just being perceived as a PT? So then even when people ask you, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, like I own a business, I do this. But I feel like there's still somewhat a part of me that sort of just can't fully be proud of what I've done because of potentially how it's perceived.
Do you think that comes from uni as well? Because when I did my degree, I felt the same. So like when you finish studying, people almost like they see you as like, oh, well, you just went and became a personal trainer. Like, why didn't you go and do dietetics or something like more advanced?
Well, when I finished my degree, I feel like when I was doing my degree, I'm like, yes, this is going to be the thing that's going to really like level me up and take me to the next level. Now that I've graduated, I've actually fully forgotten about it. I'm like, I'm still doing what I was doing when I started my business, which is coaching girls and like being in the field and working, and I'm just doing the same thing and I'm enjoying it. So nothing's really changed for me.
I think education's important, but I also think like lived experience, like getting on the gym floor, doing the work that you do, impacting people directly. It's like that trumps a bit of paper from uni.
100%, yes.
So I want to circle back. Were you going to say something? Did I cut you off?
No, not really. I was just going to say when I think about being just a PT, because I had similar comments about, because I was doing marketing and business, and then someone was like, PTs are a dime a dozen. But I think there's a clear difference or line in the sand between just doing your Cert 3 and 4 and just putting people through a gym session and actually coaching people through lifestyle changes. And I kind of think that that evolution is where the career base can kind of come into it, because it's more than just...
You're not just counting reps.
You're not just counting reps.
Floor.
It's so much more than that. And I think I also find it hard to explain what I do, because when I say I'm a PT, I just feel like it's so much more than that.
I don't think I've called myself a personal trainer in like the last 3 years. Like if somebody asks me what I'm doing, that's like the last, even my partner, he'll be like, yeah, she's a personal trainer. I'm like, can you not introduce me as that? I am so much
so much more than that.
Yeah, 100%. So circling back, bodybuilding when you were 17, wild to me. I want to dive into this a little bit more. Wild to me. But I want to also know you've moved and made a huge transition from the bodybuilding world into powerlifting. How do you think that has either negatively or positively influenced your body image?
I think just positive, pretty much. Just being so much more performance-based. I was always very performance-based with my coach to begin with. Like I was literally doing fucking jump squats in the corner, and then he was like, hey, you're getting this off like YouTube. And I transitioned into like obviously bodybuilding style training, which was still performance-based, but obviously powerlifting is still so different. And yeah, I just feel like my philosophy and the way that I see training is just to always focus on performance. And it's just so much more rewarding. Even this year I was like, all right, Europe, July, like let's try and focus more on body comp. And then I was even just like looking at people on Instagram differently and viewing myself differently. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so shit. Like, like just changing that focus can help immensely. So yeah, and the first sort of comp that I tried to do, we went into lockdown 1 week before. I think I was still very much in the mind of like wanting to look a certain way. I remember saying to my coach at the time, being like, I don't want to take out hip thrusts. I don't want to take out all the glute volume. Like I just wanted to maintain my physique, and I was still so fixated on what I looked like. But then this comp, this time around last year, I was like not even worried about what I looked like. I wasn't worried about, you know, getting a pump or anything like that. I just had such a good time training with my friends, hitting PBs. Like it was so much more empowering. So it was nice to see that difference over the years as well.
How cool. So you think the biggest change for you was like switching your focus more to performance-based over just aesthetics or physique?
Yeah, 100%. And you still get the body composition results at the same time. It's like, why? It's like a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you just focus on being performance-based? You'll still get the results, but you'll just be mentally so much better off.
Absolutely.
What would you say to, because you've spoken a lot about, you know, eating in maintenance or a surplus during summer, which I know a lot of people feel quite anxious about. This is your thing, which I love this so much.
We were saying at the cafe before, like Anthea is always the girl that's bulking over summer, which I fucking love.
I love that so much, but I think so many people have this thought process of we're going to shred for summer, getting lean for summer, and you go against that narrative. And I just wanted to speak about why you do that and what tips you'd give someone who is also interested in doing that but feel quite anxious about it.
So I think I just learnt that in order to gain muscle and actually get the physique that I want, so thinking long term, I do need to stay and be in a well-fed state for majority of the year. After so many years of always trying to stay as lean as possible, you know, still eat in a deficit, not properly fuel my body, but then I was still really wanting to like grow my glutes and look this certain way, and I just felt so stuck. I was like, why am I not seeing the results? Obviously something had to change. So yeah, once I sort of realized this importance, I'm just like, I can't just stop with entering a deficit right now. Like I've got such great momentum with my training and with my results, and I just have to keep going. So the way that I see deficits as well is that they should be quite intentional. It's not just a matter of you having like a shitty body image week and be like, that's it, I'm cutting. Or it's like a random thought that you have that you just want to cut and that's it. I think that they should be really intentional. They should be thought out. They should be alongside maintenance phases, surplus phases. You should have a look at your lifestyle and see, what do I have coming up in the next couple of months? Is this actually going to work for me? Or do I have 1,000,001 events? Or do I have exams on? Like actually just having it more well thought out, as opposed to just jumping on social media and just, getting triggered and then wanting to diet. So I think it's just more intentional in the way that you treat your body and fitness and health.
And I think getting out of that loop of dieting year round. I think people just get stuck in always wanting to be smaller, always wanting to get leaner, and it's like, what's the end goal here? Like if you're doing that and then you're thinking, why is my training shit? Why am I not growing? It's kind of, they're just contradicting one another, your goal and where you're at the moment.
It's exactly like what you said, when like you get triggered or you see someone else that has like this perfect six-pack online, you're like, well, I'm gonna diet. Or you look in the mirror and you maybe are having a bad body image day and you're like, well, nope, that's it, I'm going back into a deficit. It's like, being more intentional and looking at it as a whole. How can I spend majority of my time feeling good, circling back to the performance-based stuff instead of just like, okay, so heavily focused on the way I look all of the time, because that's going to fucking eat you alive eventually.
Yeah. And I think that links back so perfectly, like eating in a fed state, being in a surplus, smashing your training, focusing on training strength really helps you take away that narrative of just like lots of volume, training every single day, eating as little as possible. Like that clear shift there, I just feel like is the key for sustainability, especially training in the gym as a woman.
I also feel like everyone who goes through that exact transition where they kind of move from focusing on the way they look to the way that they feel, they automatically love doing what they do. So they love their training, they love going for a run or whatever it is that they're doing to challenge themselves, instead of being so focused on the way they look. And then it becomes an actual lifestyle. That's like almost the missing key piece, I believe, to it becoming a lifestyle that lasts forever instead of just like a short-term thing.
It's also like a well-being shift as well. Like even just from a social aspect, like being able to go out on the weekend and not fucking stress about your macros and stuff like that. And I remember having this sort of transition period where I would be meticulously planning everything. And don't get me wrong, I think that helped me have a better understanding of nutrition. And I do believe that it is beneficial for people to go through that period. But at the same time, I was so nervous to like just eat a meal and not track it, or even just not even look at the menu before you go and just like eat what you actually feel like. And the more that I did it, I was like, oh my gosh, the world hasn't ended. Like, my body hasn't fully changed. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I just kept doing it. And then you just start living life and enjoying life more. And yeah, the focus is just taken away from what you look like.
Yeah. I love that.
I think it's also just the key to having a positive body image, like the acceptance of your body during all of these different states, and the not even acceptance, appreciation for what you can do. Like, I think that's what strength has taught me and teaches my clients, and all of us would relate to that. Like, once you realize that you're fucking strong and that training makes you feel good, it's really hard to not want to ever stop that, because why would you? It's such a positive in your life.
100%.
I think I'd love to see most women shift towards at least appreciating that part of training and not just the whole being as small as possible.
I feel like when I think about not getting my sessions in, I'm not thinking about, oh, you know, this is going to make me lose my body composition. Like, granted, there might be a little part of that, but most of it is I'm going to miss out on an opportunity to progress with this skill. It's going to probably stuff up some of my momentum that I have with my training, which I really savor, because it is hard sometimes to build momentum with training, to really get the ball rolling and progress. And yeah, I'm mainly just viewing it from a performance lens rather than, what it's going to do for my physique.
Yeah, I love that.
Business question? You go for it.
Me? Okay. You whispering, you go. As if you don't have a HD mic right up against your mouth.
Your turn.
All right, business. So if you guys don't know, you mentioned at the start of the podcast, you were in a gym.
Yes.
An in-person brick and mortar gym, which is incredible. Wow. And also a coaching business.
Yep.
So Thrive Stronger, which you have another coach that works with you as well.
Mona, yep.
Amazing. She's also a fucking legend if she's listening, as she should be. Hello, we love you. We wanted to know business-wise. Now, I feel like social media kind of glorifies becoming an online coach or a personal trainer. We want to know, what are your struggles in business?
And owning a gym.
Yeah.
Owning a gym's a big one, because I know that's a big goal for a lot of coaches.
Yeah. I think...
And obviously give us some of the fun things as well.
Yeah.
Not just like Debbie Downer.
We'll start with the hard ones and then
Okay. So, struggles. I think the back end stuff doesn't come too easy. My partner Jason has helped me a lot in terms of the finances and the maths. Not my strong point. No. So I'm very grateful for his help, and I feel like we both have our strengths and we sort of pick up where we don't really have as many skills, which is nice. I would say the back end stuff, and it is hard when you're in the business working to try and grow the business, and it's honestly hard. I'm grateful for lockdown in a way, because we had so much fucking spare time and I had so many hours to put towards really upgrading the systems, and it's hard to do that when you're in the business and working. It's like, oh, I really want to upgrade this or do this project, but when you're with your clients, it's like, oh, you just sort of, the weeks and everything go by. So I think prioritizing the back end stuff. And then struggles with owning the gym. I would just say at the moment, just the amount of hours and time and boundaries and stuff like that. I know that it will get better. We're in the early stages. I think I'm just very accepting of that at the moment. But I think my body is just in this fight or flight.
Doing what you need to do to get it done.
At the moment.
And it's also uncharted waters. You've never done it before. So it's trial and error of okay, what works, what feels good, how many hours do I need to be on the gym floor? What are my boundaries around replying to clients? Because you're doing all of it. That would be hectic actually.
Yeah. And even just a lot of our clients are obviously at the gym as well. A lot of our friends. So even just getting in and out of the gym, if you're in a rush, it's so hard for me to just leave and not talk to people. I'm I'm so sorry, I need to leave.
You're don't look at me, guys. Just let me come in and go home.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have it any other way. That's one of the greatest positives as well. Looking around and being oh my gosh, this is such an amazing space and there are so many beautiful people here. I feel it's still very surreal as well.
When you're starting something, I know that online we speak a lot about balance and like, you know, having that kind of lifestyle a lot of online coaches, you know, want to have, right? But I also think that there's a time and a place. You're currently in it where you're building something and you need to grind and you're probably going to work fucked hours, and that's just part of it. And I also just want to touch on, whenever we have a certain goal, like that whole idea of balance isn't necessarily going to happen on those weeks when you have a deadline or something you're really working towards, and that's just part of business.
100%.
It's not always going to be that perfect switching off, do not disturb, off to the beach, you know what I mean? And I think that you're going through that and you're living that, and it's just something that I want to touch on when you're building a business, that it will go through phases like that.
Yeah, I feel like you sort of just do what you have to do. Like, I don't really think about it too much. It's sort of like just a no-brainer. I'm like, I have to, you know, do this piece of work, even if it's late at night or on the weekend or whatever. Of course, I want to work towards having more boundaries, but I think when you're so invested in your business and, you know, the impact that you're trying to make and what you're trying to achieve, you sort of just do what needs to be done, to be honest. And I'm at peace with that because I really enjoy business and coaching clients. So, yeah.
I think, like the whole, when you're working towards building something, I think the thing with social media, shout out to everyone who's ever posted this, I'm putting myself in the doghouse because I've done it before. The freedom-based business, right? Like everyone loves the freedom-based business, which is such a vibe. Obviously that's the end goal, but like different seasons, when you're starting something, like you have to fucking grind.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started, I was working like from 5 a.m. till 9 p.m. back to back on the gym floor, doing 3 hours of work, like hours upon hours of free work, free sessions, and I was getting paid like fuck all. But that's what you have to do to then be able to reap the reward of having a freedom-based business where you can go and work from your laptop and travel and do all the things you want to do.
100%. I think a lot of young coaches are coming into the industry like it's the shiny object syndrome, like seeing like, oh, online coach, I can go to Bali, I can do this, I can do that. But the passion is, well, like, don't get me wrong, they're probably still passionate, but the passion of actually wanting to coach people, become a better coach, like it's about who you're trying to impact. It's not just about yourself and, you know, achieving your own dreams. Like I've taken a huge pay cut for the last couple of years. Like my own wage is I'm not even worried about it. You know what I mean? Despite me putting in probably double the amount of hours, but it's just not something that I even think about, you know, being a business owner. At least for the time being.
I was just back to that point as well, like being an online coach, freedom-based lifestyle, wanting to go to Bali and work. Your driving force for coaching can't be
going to Bali
to work. Not just that, going to Bali to work, but it can't be wanting to earn 6 figures. It can't be just money-based because you're not going to last for very long if that's your only driving force. You need to be passionate. Your clients feed off your energy. If you're just, you know, taking in people, treating clients like a number, like it's going to fizzle out. So I think when you're a new coach and you want to get into the industry, you have to weather that and you need to accept that that's your overarching reason for personal development and all of the hard things that come with it as well. Yeah. Rejection, resilience.
All of it. It's like you don't become a lawyer if you hate law. Like you become a lawyer because you would like to practice law. It's the same thing with like becoming a personal trainer or having an online business or even like a brick and mortar business. You don't just open a gym because you're like, I like having shiny things in my gym. It's like, no, you want to impact and change people's life. And if you're not passionate, you know, the cracks are going to happen and you're going to see you later. You'll be done.
100%.
As you coach, you only coach women, predominantly women? What are some of the reoccurring themes of clients that come to you that you work through with them? Is it a lot of it to do with wanting them to get better at strength training? Is a lot of it to do with changing their view on body image? What are kind of those reoccurring client types that you're working with every week?
So definitely, I think a lot of the women that I see, they're really wanting to like improve their technique. They care about wanting to move properly. They're wanting to make it a part of their lifestyle as well. I think that's a big thing. It's not just this like challenge or anything that they want to complete. It's like, no, I want to work with you for, you know, 6 months, 12 months. A lot of my clients are very long-term clients, and I sort of say that in consults. I'm like, look, a lot of my clients I work with quite long-term because it's this sort of long organic process. It's not just I'm going to get you in, we're going to get you shredded, or you know, get you gaining 3 kilos of mass in 12 weeks. Like, that's not how it works.
I love how whenever somebody says that, like, you just can't help but laugh.
Yeah.
You're like, come on.
Good luck. Yeah, so I think it's nice watching the type of clients that I work with now, because it definitely used to be more fat loss focused, a lot more body composition focused. I still absolutely love working with clients to achieve their body composition results, but if it's only body composition, I think I struggle a bit. I'm like just still trying to show them how being a little bit more performance-based with their training can actually help them. So, I mean, that's my mission.
That. If you had to give a new client, a gym newbie, for example, some tips. So the typical thing that I see a lot is they've gone from doing classes all the time and they're wanting to get into the gym for the first time and they're wanting to work with you. What would 2 tips you would give someone who are wanting advice for actually having sustainable results in the gym?
So usually they come in very eager. They're like, yeah, I'll train 5-6 days a week. I'm like, all right, how many can we realistically stick to on a consistent basis? So pulling it back most of the time, 3-4 sessions, starting there and then building from there. Just trying to get rid of the all or nothing mindset really, and just viewing training as just always trying to show up no matter what. Even if you can't get a full session in, even if you're not feeling good that day. I mean, the other sort of downfall from being very performance-based is when you're not feeling so good, or maybe you're having a bad mental health day, the thought of going into the gym and being like, oh, I need to progress with my weights, that will also maybe stop people from going to the gym, because it's like there's no point. So also I really like to encourage my clients to just take each day as it comes and just have no expectations as well when going in, when you're having a bit of a shitty day, and really focus on the positive aspects of training that you're going to gain, like improving your mental health, feeling really accomplished after it, just even getting some blood flow and moving your body. Just going for more of the holistic approach.
Amazing. That all or nothing mindset, just quickly, we're touching on that, huge. I feel like every client I've ever worked with comes in with an all or nothing mindset to begin with, but then they leave being able to understand like more performance, focus on the way that you feel, your quality of sleep, how much water you're drinking, versus just, okay, I want to lose 5 kilos in 3 days, and if that doesn't happen, fuck this, I'm never doing it again. But if you move into any sort of health and fitness journey with that all or nothing mindset, like, you're setting yourself up for failure.
100%.
And often it's coming from the intention is they think that they're doing the right thing, because you think that the more I smash myself, the more dedicated I am, the better that I'm doing. But it's just trying to reshape that if you can't maintain it, then it's not actually going to get you the result you're wanting. It's like the tortoise and the hare. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you
Turtle and the hare? Tortoise and the hare.
Tortoise and the hare. Like getting there quick, but then not being able to sustain it isn't going to help you long term.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to have a good time in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that mindset of the more committed I am, I need to be 100%. But I guess taking that mindset of if I just show up and do my best on the day, even if it's not 100%, it almost sounds like you're advocating for like mediocrity, but you're actually not. It's what is going to get you the long-term results and consistent results as well. Yeah.
And also you don't get bored. I feel like whenever I've done something where I've gone too hard, too fast, you're like burning the candle at both ends. Like eventually you kind of get bored of how it's all going.
Yeah.
When you can actually just enjoy the process and like go with the flow a little bit more. I feel like it keeps you less bored, if that makes sense, in terms of lifting weights.
I was also just going to say the social component, like me being able to see my friends and not be stressed about food and not be stressed about being able to enjoy myself and be able to train, that makes me feel excited. I don't like the thought that I, would have to always track and then be stressed if you're at a restaurant and you can't, you don't know what you're going to eat. It's like, I know a lot of people feel that way with nutrition. They do say a challenge and then they go in a social setting and it's just like everything goes out the window because they don't know how to handle it. And I wanted to talk about how you kind of help clients through that nutrition component of things. Like is that a common theme where people don't know how to handle a social setting, and what advice would you give your clients in that situation?
Yeah, so like I was saying before, I do think that it is worth even getting a better grasp of portion sizes and tracking your food, because when you go out to a restaurant and if you don't have that basis of nutritional knowledge of like what a serving of protein looks like, or how to even like read the menu and look at the items of food and be like, well, that's carbohydrates, that's fats. I think going through a period of tracking your food intake to understand those things is really good. But then there comes a time where you don't need to do that long term. It's sort of just as a learning tool. And I use a lot of like nutrition diaries now with my clients, which have been like really great success. Even trying to transition clients from not tracking who feel very dependent on it. And I always say, like, I think it's just focusing on the self-trust, because a lot of them feel like they need to rely on the app and these numbers to teach them how to eat. But I'm like, you know how to eat. You have been eating in a way that aligns with your goals and your health values for so long. We're just taking away the app. Like, that's all it is. You still need to just have that self-trust. So yeah, I've really enjoyed taking clients through sort of transitioning them away from tracking.
I love that. I always say, I mean, we both always say, like, tracking your calories and macros is great for nutritional literacy, but it's just a tool that you can put in your toolbox, pull it out when you need it, use it when you're going through a season of growth or a deficit or something like that, but it's not an all year around approach. I think that's what a lot of people get wrong, is they assume that you have to track calories and macros all the time, but it's like, get educated, do a nutrition diary like you said, and then you can actually move from relying so heavily on MyFitnessPal all the time to being able to have like freedom with your food.
But it's also what I tell my clients who are transitioning is when they're getting quite stressed about, oh, I still don't know, like I'm still roughly tracking and putting things in MyFitnessPal. I'm like transitioning away from tracking and maybe having some non-tracking days either in your week or like long term. It's not about still hitting the macros. Like, we're no longer doing that. It's about eating in alignment with, yes, your body composition, your performance goals, but also a little bit more intuitive, listening to your hunger cues. So it's not about the numbers anymore. And I think that that's a really big realization.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming on. Before we go,
where can our listeners find you?
Anthea Woodruff on Instagram, TikTok, not that I'm really on TikTok. Thrive Stronger is my coaching business, and then Husla_gym is the gym.
And the gym's in Glen Waverley, yeah?
Mount Waverley.
Mount Waverley, beautiful.
Yeah.
So if you're from Melbourne,
obviously go to
go
Husla,
and suss it out.
please.
The lighting for like selfies and videos, like if you are like us, it is such a vibe. So you definitely need to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye.